Many people believe that schizophrenia is a split personality disorder or a multiple personality disorder, but these conditions are not related. The term schizophrenia replaced the old term of dementia precox, which scientists believe was an early onset of dementia. It wasn't until a psychologist in 1887 used the term schizophrenia for the first time. Now, this psychologist named Kristen was not the one who discovered schizophrenia. There have been writings all the way leading back to 1550 in Egypt of something that could be considered schizophrenia. Schizophrenia is a serious mental illness that affects a person's ability to manage emotions, think clearly, make choices, make decisions, and relate to others. Although people can be diagnosed with schizophrenia at any stage in life, it's very common for men to be diagnosed in their early 20s and women to be diagnosed in their late 20s. It's very rare for a child as young as 12 to be diagnosed with schizophrenia, but it has happened.
It's a very unusual thing to see a child at 6 having this kind of illness. I've seen only really a handful of children in my 20 years that fit this kind of diagnosis. A voice in Janny's head may say, "You feel bad," okay? And so she says, "I feel bad today and I want to hurt people." So she feels she has to do what the voice says. This kind of alternate reality that she lives in that's very scary, that's very disturbing. I realized she really had schizophrenia, and so this is a condition that she will have her whole life.
1% of the population has schizophrenia. That's 2.2 million Americans. The word schizophrenia is kind of like an umbrella term. There are 5 different types that someone could have, and they include paranoia, disorganized, catatonic, undifferentiated, and residual. When we're talking about schizophrenia symptoms, they're categorized in positive symptoms and negative symptoms. Now, that doesn't mean that these are really good symptoms and these are really bad symptoms. It's just the way that they're termed. So let me explain them. A positive symptom is the presence of problem behavior. These are things like hallucinations, delusions, disorganized thinking, and odd behavior. A negative symptom is the absence of healthy behavior, things that we should be doing. So symptoms in this category are flat affect, which means no emotion in the face. They kind of just loss of enjoyment of things that they used to like, less social interaction around others, they don't want to be around others, being catatonic, less movement, and loss of speech. It's a big myth that violence or violent acts are a symptom of schizophrenia, and this is not the case. A person with schizophrenia is more likely to be violent toward themselves than toward the public. I mean, I've known a lot of people with schizophrenia in my life. Not a lot, a few. I had a lot of college friends in college that had schizophrenia. They were not violent at all. They were the complete opposite. They were the sweetest, kindest people I've ever met in my life. And when they told me they had schizophrenia, I was super shocked. Everything that I thought I knew about schizophrenia was thrown out the door. Now, there's not just one thing that causes schizophrenia. There's a lot of different research and a lot of different fields, but let me just go down of what we know right now about it. Now, genetically speaking, there isn't just one gene that causes schizophrenia. It's a mixture of environmental stuff, a mixture of a bunch of genes together. Because there are so many people with schizophrenia, there might be a genetic link, but there's not just one gene that tells you, okay, you're gonna have it. It's a mixture of a lot of different things. If you have a family member or a distant family member who had schizophrenia in the past, you might be more likely to have it. There are a few environmental factors that might cause schizophrenia, including viruses or malnutrition during the first few trimesters of birth, also inflammation or an autoimmune disease. Brain chemistry could cause it as well. 2 different types of neurotransmitters have been linked, dopamine and glutamate, and also substance abuse. Marijuana has been shown to be linked to schizophrenia, as well as other mind-altering drugs. Schizophrenia is ranked one of the top 10 reasons for disability in developed countries. It accounts for 1/4 of all mental health costs, and 1 in 3 people in psychological hospitals have schizophrenia. The earlier someone is diagnosed with schizophrenia, the better the recovery outcome. People who get into treatment after 10 years, 25% of them are recovered. 25% of them are improved, but might need a little bit of help. 25% of them have improved but require support. 15% are hospitalized, and 10 are dead. 4 out of 10 people diagnosed with schizophrenia will commit suicide, and that's a really sad statistic. So where are these 2.2 million people who have this diagnosis? They're in shelters, they're in jails, they're in prisons, they're in hospitals. They are being taken care of by their family members. They're living independently. They're homeless. Or they're in group homes. Having this diagnosis does not mean that a person is going to have a meaningless life. Just because they're diagnosed with this does not mean that they're any less of a person than someone who doesn't. I've known a lot of people with schizophrenia, and if they take their medications, if they're treating themselves with kindness, and if they're working on themselves through treatment, they're college students. You can't just look at someone and determine if they're a bad person or a good person. Having a diagnosis doesn't mean you're a bad person, and I feel like there's a lot of misconceptions around schizophrenia. So I really hope this video opened your eyes or you learned something, and if you did, please share it so we can start sharing the knowledge. Let me know down below another diagnosis you would like me to let you know all the facts. I hope you enjoyed this video, and thank you so much for watching. Bye guys.